Hello, it's Darren from Coaching Young Athletes here, back with another top five. Now, today's top five is my top five tips for effectively supervising a group of kids that you may be coaching. Now, coaches of young athletes need good supervision skills for a couple of reasons. Reason number one, I think, is to help maintain a safe environment. So if you're properly supervising a group, you can possibly help prevent accidents and other unsafe or hazardous behaviour. It's also important in managing your group's behaviour. So good supervision can help prevent off-task or disruptive behaviour. So a vigilant coach with good supervision skills is more likely to recognise and then be able to act on hazardous behaviour or disruptive behaviour. And kids who know that their coach is on the ball are less likely to be off task when they think or they know that you are watching them closely. So let's get into the top five. Now, I'm going to count back from five back to one. And look, this is just my opinion, and you may have another opinion or other ideas. And if you do, please put them in the comments, because then we can all learn from each other. So tip number five is, when you are supervising a group of young athletes, move about purposely, but unpredictably. So have a strategy as to how you're going to actually supervise that group, where you're going to move, how you're going to move. Don't just walk in circles or in a really predictable path. Pause, accelerate, stop, change direction, so that the kids will never know where you are and hopefully aren't too sure whether you're watching them or not, and therefore are less likely to be off task or disruptive. So tip number five is move about purposely, but keep it a bit unpredictable. Tip number four is keep participants on their toes. So while you're moving about in your purposeful but unpredictable way, maybe provide a few verbal prompts and hustles, like a positive reinforcement, a well done, a keep your knees up, a move to this position if you need to. Don't overdo it, of course. We know that coaches can sometimes talk too much, but just to let the kids know that you're watching them and that you are aware of what they're doing. So tip number four is keep participants on their toes by verbally prompting them every now and again. Tip number three is to show the kids that you have eyes in the back of your head and that you're with it at all times. So one of the best ways to demonstrate this is to make a comment or positive reinforce or catch someone doing something good on the far side of the group to where you're standing, or when the kids don't actually think that you are watching them. So the old eyes in the back of your head, the coach knows whatever's going on wherever he or she is a really important way to keep the kids on task and doing the right thing. So tip number three is act as if you have eyes in the back of your head and use strategies to communicate that to the kids. Tip number two is scan the whole group. So when you are supervising a group, don't just look at what is happening directly in front of you. Make sure that you are looking around and that you are looking left and you are looking right and you are looking to the far side of the group, and you are taking into account everything that is going on in front of you. Don't just zero in on what's going on in front of you. You can zero in, but then zero out again very quickly, so that you're aware of what's going on everywhere within the group. So tip number two is, when you're supervising a group, make sure you scan the whole group. And tip number one, my top tip that I learned many, many years ago as a training PE teacher, and that was reinforced to us again and again and again, was when you are supervising a group of kids, stick to the perimeter. Make sure that nothing is going on behind your back. Make sure that all the group is within your vision. If you stand in the middle, there are going to be kids behind you. And, even if you turn around, there's going to be another group of kids behind you. So make sure as much as possible that when you are supervising a group, you are moving about on the perimeter of that group. So you're on the outside of that group looking in. So the top tip is stick to the perimeter of the group. So let's review what the top 5 tips were. Tip number 5 was move about purposely, but unpredictably. Tip number 4 was keep participants on their toes. Tip number 3 was act as if you have eyes in the back of your head. Tip number 2 was make sure you scan the whole group when you're supervising a group. And tip number 1, my top tip, was stick to the perimeter of the group. So if you want more information about this, there's a few articles that deal with it on coachingyoungathletes.com. And also, if you'd like to continue to receive tips as part of my top 5 series, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. It's been great chatting with you today. I look forward to seeing you next time for my next top 5. Bye for now.